Al-Kadosh Boker or Masechet Gittin Daf 16a1. If you remember yesterday, we came and we brought down that if it's going to be mashke tofeach, what do we care? Which means even if you're going to have a liquid which is on it, what do we care? The Mishnah in Tarot says, Hanitzok v'katafres u'mashke tofeach eno chibur lo linyan tuma velo legabe tara. Which means anything which is a nitzok. Remember, nitzok is called the when you have the connection between the flow of the water, what you're pouring, and then the thing on the bottom. That's called nitzok chibur, right? Which means that the nitzok is a chibur, but here it's saying it's not a chibur. So the nitzok, you understood what the nitzok was? One more time, I take a bottle and I'm pouring milk. When I'm pouring the milk, there's a flow which is connecting the milk and this. That's called nitzok. Okay, that's number one. Number two, katafres. What is a katafres? Mashke, which is coming down by a midron, meaning you've got, let's say, a mountain, and down the slope is coming down this liquid. Or number three, mashke tofeach, which means when you have a liquid which is on top of it, it's not considered a chibur, not for tuma, not for tahara. So therefore, what's the problem then? What are you telling me then that if you had two mikvaot of water, right, that it didn't have 40 seah, and it's nitzok, katafres, or mashke tofeach, it's going to be mechaber. It's not true. It's not mechaber. You can't do tefillah between them. Answers the Gemara la tzricha, deika tofeach latpiach. No. It's not just stam that it's wet. It's got enough liquid, latpiach, it's something else. So for example, sometimes here, you've got a little bit of liquid, a drop, right? There's a drop there. You could see the drop. The question is, if I come and I do this, and then I touch him, will there also go liquid there or not? Yes. Meaning here, there's a liquid, right? But will it go there? So it all depends on the amount. If it's such a small amount here, even though there is liquid here, and you could see the liquid,
you're going to
not
end up with
always
some, whatever the amount.
Yeah, but it's not going to be that's piach, not enough that's called wet.
Okay.
Yeah, more, moist, whatever. But that's called tofeach le'atpiach. I don't know how you say it in English. How do you translate that in English? Moist, in order to moisten something up. I don't know how you say it. Yeah, to moisten. שתהיה מספק להרטיב את הנוגע בה כל כך, עד שיהיה בידו להשוב ולהרטיב דבר שלישי. Meaning, here there's a liquid. I came and I touched it, I touched you. If somebody else now comes and he touches you, can he make now you go to a third person? That liquid? Or it's not enough?
At some point, it's not going to be enough.
Very good. So that's what it means. So tofeach latpiach. Hana mitanina, says the Gemara. We also learned this in a Mishnah. Here it says we already learned this in a Braita. The Braita says tofeach latpiach chibur. It is considered a chibur if it's tofeach latpiach. So answers the Gemara. Dilma linyan mikvaot. Maybe it could be that tofeach latpiach is considered a chibur for mikvaot, right? Because we see that the water is tofchim right kol kach, right? So he says that Rabbi Yehuda, this is the shita of Rabbi Yehuda, that he holds of good achit, but it's not enough that when you're going to take your hands and you're going to wash it that it's going to be okay. Remember that what is good achit and good asik? Good achit means that it goes downwards. Good asik means that it goes upwards. Asik, right? Salik is good to go up. Achit or nechute yam are going down to the seas, to go down. So the good, right, is the concept that we draw it forth and we put it downwards or upwards. So usually we learned it in Sukkah and other things when it's talking about, for example, that I have a wall in the bottom, and now I'm going to say good asik, that all of a sudden kilu, I'm making an imaginary wall go upwards. Then what's good achit? Exact opposite. I've got on the top a wall, and now I'm going to say good asik, good achit, that it's going downwards. Kilu, an imaginary wall going downwards. Okay? The Tzanan, as we learned in the Mishnah, mikveh sheyesh bo 40 seah. When you have a mikveh that has 40 seah, mechuvanot means exactly, right? Mamash mitzumtzamot. Okay? V'yardu shnayim. Two people go in the mikveh. They tavlu, and they do tevilah b'zeh achar zeh, one after another, right? Now, you know that by nature, if somebody goes into the mikveh, what does he take out with him? Water. Right? Water. Hopefully he doesn't take out other people's hairs, right? But if not, but for sure he's taking out water, correct? Right? What are you laughing? Yeah. He comes and he says, right, but he's taking out water. Now, 1 second. If this mikveh had exactly 40 seah, and now you came in and the first person came out, so if he took out water, the second person does not have 40 seah. So what happens? So Rishon tahor, hashini tameh. That's what the Gemara says. Yeah, the first of the Mishnah, there's a Mishnah mikvah. First person is tahor, second one is tameh. Rabbi Yehuda says, if the first person was leaving the mikveh, he still has his feet in the mikveh, and then the second person came into the mikveh, so then the second person is still going to be tahor. The reason why is because we're still going to say that the body of the first person is still mechubar to the mikveh. So we say gudachit. So it comes out that all the water which is on his body, since his feet are in the mikveh, are going down into the mikveh. So when he came into the mikveh was shalem still. The mikveh was still whole, and therefore nothing's lacking. That's the concept of Rabbi Yehuda. Okay? So Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah comes and he says, Harre Amru, right? So we just said right now, okay, Abar Rosho Verubo B'Mayim Shuvim, right? If a person is going to come and he's a Tvul Yom, and he's going to put his head and the majority of his body in water which is Mayim Shuvim. That means basically he went and he did Tevilah in a mikveh kasher. He's a Tvul Yom. That means he was Tameh, yeah? Tvul Yom means that he did the Tevilah in the same day, but he has to wait until Erev Shemesh, remember, until the nighttime. And then the next day when he brings the Korban. Okay, but it says, this Tvul Yom that he comes and he goes to a mikveh kasher, and then he comes in the same day and he puts himself in Mayim Shuvim, which is Pasul obviously for Tevilah, right? Which is drawn waters. Va'afilu, and even if he didn't do the entire, only Roshov Rubo, not the entire body, just Roshov Rubo, right? So he says, Kochken, if it was going to be afterwards. So he says, V'tahor, or a person that's 100% tahor, Shenaflu ar Roshov Rubo Shoshal Lugim Mayim Shuvim, Tameh midrabanan. He becomes Tameh. Waters which are drawn, meaning not mikveh waters. Drawn waters. Not only that. It was in a utensil. For example, if I go to a mikveh and I take this cup and I take the water out, that's called mayim shuvim. Because I draw it out. I draw out the water.
So if you take 40 seah with this cup and you put them into a place that
doesn't help.
Doesn't
work. Okay? So here it says, right? So two different cases. Number one, he was tameh. He went to a mikveh and then he put on Rosho Verubo Mayim Shuvim. Or he was tahor. Okay? And Naflu Rosho Verubo Shosha Lugi Mayim Shuvim. Tameh. He's tameh midrabanan. Okay? Here it says, because they made like a gezerah, that they didn't want the people should say that, you know what, that this is going to be mitaher. So it means the second you have Mayim Shuvim on you, it's tameh. So even though you were tahor, now you become tameh. Okay? So by Rabbi Yirmiyah comes and asks the question, what happens if you're a tameh, you went and you did tevilah in a mikveh, and then you went and you put half of your body in mayim shuvim, and on the other half, you threw water, which is shuvim. So it means you dipped half your body, and the other half of the body, you poured the hot water, you poured the water onto you. What's halacha? Do you become tameh now or not? Yeah? By the way, just to show you how much this halacha is important, do you know that there's a chumrah by Ashkenazim that after they go to the mikveh, for example, let's say a woman goes to the mikveh, she's not allowed to take a shower right away. Huh?
I didn't know it was just Ashkenazim. I thought it was...
Yeah. So says the Gemara, Teiku. We don't have an answer. Meaning, half the body bitvilah and half the body with nefilah, meaning that it's falling upon you, we don't have an answer. Amar Rav Papa says, they said, Balkeri cholesh natun alav tisha kabin ma'im tahor. The person's a Balkeri and he's sick. And therefore he can't go to the mikveh. But they came and they put tisha kabin on him. So he's going to be tahor for Talmud Torah. So by Rav Papa comes and he says, Chetzio b'tvilah v'chetzio b'netina mai. What about Chetzio b'tvilah v'chetzio b'netina? Same question. Teiku. Okay, the other case is that he was tameh, he went to the mikveh, and then you had the shlosha logim and all these things. Here, we're talking about Balkeri, that he couldn't go to the mikveh. So he had tisha kabin, which tisha kabin is good enough in order for tvilat ezra. And then, right, what happened, remember, tisha kabin is not a mikveh, yeah? Mikveh is 40 seah. Right? And then, right, he had the chetzi b'tevilah v'chetzi b'netina, teiku. We still have the same doubt. But when Rav Papa comes and now he's talking about the Tisha Kabin and he says Chetzio b'tvilah v'chetzio b'netina, my teiku, we don't have an answer. Fine, going back to the two dots. Two dots says אחד אומר בפני נכתב, ואחד אומר בפני נחתם. So you've got בפני נכתב, בפני נחתם. One witness says בפני נכתב, and one of them says בפני נחתם. Amar Shmuel bar Yehuda Rabbi Yochanan says Shmuel bar Yehuda in the name of Yochanan, lo shanu ela b'she'en get yotze mitachad yedei shneim. That's only if the get is not coming from both of them, which means only one of the edim, either the one that says he's the shliach of the husband, and the other ed was not the shliach of the husband. So therefore, he has to testify whether on the ktiva or on the chatima. So therefore, here he's only testifying on one of them. So it comes out that there's not edut on the second one. Aval get yotze mitachad yedei shneim. But what happens if both of them come and are bringing the get? Which means both of them are shluchei abal, okay, and both of them are giving it to the women in front of the bedin. And one of them says befanai nechtam, and one of them says befanai nechtam. That's zayin mubet. 16b, kasher. It's going to be kosher. Yeah. Alma. So you see from here, kasava, right? He says over here he holds shnayim sheviu get midinat hayam. When you have two people bringing a get from dinat hayam, and you don't have to say befanai nechtam, befanai nechtam. Right? Why? Because we don't care, basically. Because we don't need, right? We don't need it at all. So according to him, the reason why the Chachamim come and they say if to testify on a get, is to be mekayem the chotamot, is in order to come and to validate the signatures. Okay? So Elmaleh, Abaye comes and he says to Shmuel bar Yehuda, Lemiata, we're going to ask now the following question. Seifa diktani, the Seifa that says Shnayim omnim fanenu nichtav. Ve'echad omer befanai nichtam. So imagine, you have two people coming and say befanenu nichtav. One person comes and he says, it's going to be pasul. Rabbi Yehuda machshir. Rabbi Yehuda says it's going to be kosher. Tama, the reasoning is then get yotze mitachad shneim because the get didn't come from both of them. Ha, get yotze mitachad shneim if the comes from both of them, right? So what? Machshir Rabbanan? Are the Rabbanan going to be moded and the bemet is going to be kosher? Why? Because according to them, even though the sedut doesn't help, it's by both of them together. You don't need edut. Remember, if they're both coming betor shliachs, so then they're both going to be believed. So even if one says B'fanai Netam, one says B'fanai Netam, it should be okay. Elmaleh says, yes, you're right. Right? So says the Gemara, what are you talking about? So then 1 second. If it's not coming from both of them, so what's the machlok them between Tanakama and Rabbi Yehuda? So he says, more savar, one of them holds, which is Tanakama, Gazrinam. We make a gzira to be posel, the get, because the shliach didn't testify also in the ktiva. Because then you're going to get mixed up with other documents with one witness. Or more savan, Rabbi Yehuda holds, logas, we don't make such a decree, right, on such a thing, which means like this. One more time. When you want to validate a document, and it's not a get, you want to validate a document. It's a debt document. He owes me millions of dollars. Yeah? Fine. Yeah? Wasn't he? Was he? Yeah? Huh? How much did I pay the edim? Yeah? So he owes it to me. So we come and we have edim and everything. They want to validate it. Yeah, who are the edim? Jean-Paul, right, and Michel. Yeah, those were the edim. Okay, they're not family members, no? No, they're not family. Okay. Now what happens is, right, they want to come and validate it. How do they validate? Can Mordechai validate? No, you need two witnesses. Correct? You always need two witnesses. Here, we're going to make a decree, which is a Tanakama. The Tanakama comes and he makes a gzira. And he says, if you're going to come and you're going to believe this one witness, right? What's going to happen is, and he's not acting as the shaliach anymore, but rather ki'ilu, he's acting as now as a witness. People are going to come and going to say, 1 second, he just said b'fanai nechtam, and it's one witness. That was a get. 10 minutes later, they're going to bring another document. They're going to say, okay, but listen, I was there in the bedin. I saw they validated a document with one witness. So they're going to start getting confused. Because they're going to say you could always validate documents with one witness. You don't do that. But the Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, we don't make such a decree. He comes and he says, because everyone knows that a get is going to be different. Right? It was a get. Right? There's always the entire concept of that, we need the two different edim or not, but we're not going to start learning get for other documents. Okay? So that's a machloka between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yehuda. Do we make a gezerah that they're going to learn to other documents or not? Lishna acharina, another lashon amila, they said, Amar Shmuel bar Yehuda, Amar Rabbi Yonatan. Says Shmuel bar Yehuda in the name of Rabbi Yonatan. Afilu get yotze mitachad yedei shnehem pasul. Even if the get comes from both of them, it's still going to be pasul in such a case. right? Because basically the shtiach has to say v'fanai nechtam. Okay, so Alma Kasavar CC from here that they hold Shnaim Shuri. So it comes out that according to them, what they say is if you have two people bringing it, it's not enough just to say b'fanai nichtav u'fanai nechtam. You have to say b'fanenu nichtav, b'fanenu nechtam, which is in front of both of us. Okay, so Elmaleh Abaye comes and he says, and therefore that's why we just say that if they divided the testimony, the rabbis are not going to accept it because they have to say it together. They have to give the testimony together. So Elmaleh Abaye comes and he says, we're going to ask the following question. Seifa diktani, the Seifa that says Shnaim Omrim, two people say b'fanei nichtav, and one of them says b'fanei nechtam pasul. Rabbi Yehuda says it's going to be kosher. Afilu get yotzim tachashem b'seder Rabbanan. Even if it's going to be that the get is going to be underneath both of them, the rabbi says pasul. Why? Elmaleh says yes. What is machloket? You remember that we already had a machloket between who was the machloket between whether we say bekin or whether we say edim mitzuim lekaymo. Machloket between not almost Rabba and Rava, Rabba or Rabba and Rova. Right, whichever one you want, right? But we do Rabba and Rava, right? Rabba with a bet, right, and a hey, and Rava with a vet and an aleph. Who was the rabbi? Who was the student?
The aleph, the student.
Exactly. The aleph was the student. Kol hakavod. Bravo. Kol hakavod. Yeah? Yeah? So he comes now and he says like this. He says, more Savar Tanakama holds is because they're not Bekin Lishman Chutzaretz. And therefore, if there's going to be two different shluchim, we still need that they're going to testify that it was nichtam and nichtam nishma. And im nechleku adot, that each one is testifying separately, right? We're going to make a gezerah, right, by shar shtarot. But Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says that the entire reason is l'fi she'edim mitzulei kaimo, which means that there's no witnesses to come to verify the signatures, and they're going to say it's mizuyah. But now here you already have two witnesses that are coming. So if you have two shlichim which are coming in Dinat Yam, that's it. You could already verify the signatures. So lema de Rabba v'Rava Tanaim. So why don't we just say that the machloket between Rabba and Rabba is a machloket Tanaim? Yeah. So says the Gemara, no, we don't want to say that. Rabba mitaritz lishnakama. Rabba could answer like the first lashon, right? The Rabba, which means that he's going to say the two shluchim are coming from chutzah. They're bringing a get from chutzah. They still have to. They don't have to say b'fanetam. Our Mishnah is talking about that one of them by himself was an ed. Was the shaliach, sorry. Okay, and therefore the Tanakama says it's going to be pasul, right? Because we don't want them to get mixed up between get and shar shtarot. Rabba Malcha, and Rabba is going to answer you, according to everybody we need lishma. What are we dealing with? After they learned about lishma. Meaning, that all of a sudden they came in chutzah, they started giving shiurim, right? Imagine right now, they come to the island, they start teaching them, and all of a sudden they start learning, they start becoming learning. Beforehand, they didn't know anything, right? All of a sudden we come, we start teaching them, and then they're able to come and they're able to learn. Okay? Shema, right? The machloket is, do we suspect that it's going to go back to its original form or not? Meaning, even after coming and teaching him, he could go back to the original form, right? Sometimes they come, and it could be that during that shiur was sleeping, or during that, and all of a sudden they didn't realize what was going on. And then they go back and they don't know, they need lishma, don't lishma, they're clueless. Yeah? The more Savar Tanakama holds Gazrin and we make a gzera that it's going to go back to the original form. And even though right now they are going to be Bekil lishma, we still have the same suspicion. So therefore they're going to write it and it's going to become Pasul. More Savar Rabbi Yehuda says, Lo Gazrin, we don't suspect. That means once they became learned, hopefully they become learned. They're not going to learn and then fall asleep and then forget and then they don't do all these things. Understand? They learn and they learn.
They don't forget.
They learn and they learn. Says the Gemara, the liflog nami Rabbi Yehuda bereisha. Says 1 second. Why doesn't Rabbi Yehuda also argue in the reisha? Right? In a case of the two different cases, whether one is saying b'farei nechtam, one is saying b'farei nechtam. And our Mishnah is talking about, right, without a machloket. So Hayitman was stated, Amar Ula, Rabbi Yehuda also argued in the first case as well. Meaning, even though it said Rabbi Yehuda Machshiv, it only said that in the second case. He also argued in the first case as well, Rabbi Yehuda Machshiv, even though it wasn't written. Okay. Mati Rav Hoshia Leula. So Rav Hoshia comes and he asks the question to Ula. Rabbi Yehuda machshir bezo velo beacheret. Does Rabbi Yehuda machshir in this case, right, and not in another case? My what's halacha? What does that mean? When you say in this case Rabbi Yehuda machshir, it's saying befanen nichtav, and one of them says befanen nichtam, right? So therefore, you have two people testifying on the writing, one person testifying on the signing, and not in another case, which means he's not going to argue on another case in itself, right? That means in all the other cases, the Mishnah he agrees there's going to be pasul, right? What does that mean? What's halacha be'acheret? Which means you just came and you wanted to tell me that Rabbi Yehuda also is machshir in one person saying faran nichtav, one person saying faran nichtav. Here we're trying to deduce from the Mishnah that he doesn't agree with that. That even in that case, he agrees it's pasul. So says Gemara, no. Lemiute befaran nichtam, aval lo amar befaran nichtam. What if he only said befaran nichtam and he didn't say befaran nichtam? I would have thought say hol v'red lo gzar Yehuda or gzera sham yachzor lidivakilo. Since Rabbi Yehuda does not make a gzera, maybe they're going to forget again. So so he says maybe it's going to go back. So he says, but maybe they're going to come and they're going to get confused between kiyum shtarot. Right? Be'ed echad nami lo gazar also he didn't make a gzera. Mashmalan comes teach you that in this case he did make a gzera, which means like this. There are two different gezerot. Number one, do I make a gzera that right now they're bekil lishma? We taught chutz laaretz, and now they're bekil lishma. Maybe it's going to go back to original form that they don't know because they're not experts. So do you make that gzera or not? It's machloket. I do make that gzera or not. Second machloket, am I going to make it confused with other shtarot or not other shtarot? So he says, since I would have thought to say that he doesn't make the gzera of that they're going to be going backwards, meaning usually people always move forwards. They don't go backwards, right? They grow up. They go up in Kedusha. They don't go down, right? The second they come here, it's full time. It's not, go down, up, down, up, down. So they go up. You more right? Ma'alim b'kodesh, lo moridim. Right?
If you stand still, you're going down.
Who says that?
My professor in the hospital.
So I'm going to tell you. You know where that comes from? It's a Gaon, Vilna, or Mishle. My Rosh Yeshiva always used to tell us that. You say that this world is a downwards escalator, meaning that if you're not going up, if you're not going against and you're going up, you're automatically going down. There's no such thing as staying stable, staying. But when I went and I told that over to Rav Knopfler, he's a Rosh Yeshiva in Manchester. He's a big Talmid Chacham. When I told that to him, he thought like this, and he said, it's a gaon. Orach chaim lemala maskil. Look on the pasuk in Mishle. Orach chaim lemala maskil. What does it mean, orach chaim? The way of life is lemala maskil. Is only by going up. The gaon says that right there on that pasuk. That means the gaon will come and he says on Mishle that if you're not actually coming and you're not going up, automatically you're going down. Automatically. Some people, they come and say, no, Rabbi, I've been the same for the past 20 years. I come and say, if you think that you're the same for the past 20 years, means you've been going down for 20 years. It's a gaon.
You need to be careful when you're going up.
Why?
It's never gone.
Yeah? Person has to be careful. Fine. Okay? Next. Itmar Nami was also stated. Amar of Yudah, says of Yudah, Shnaim shevi get from Dinat Hayam. When you have two people bringing a get from Dinat Hayam. So that's a machloka between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan. Remember, two people brought it. One of them says one of them says Befanan Nichtam. It's a machloka between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan. Right? Remember the Tanakama, Rabbanan hold that it's pasul. Rabbi Yehuda says it's going to be kasher. Rabbi Bar Chana chalash. Rabbi Bar Chana was sick. Ulegaber Rabbi Yehuda v'Rabba l'shurebe. So Rabbi Yehuda and Rabba came to ask him, no, how are you doing? They wanted to visit him. Yeah, they wanted to visit him. Bikul cholim. So Baumani, they asked him, two people come, they bring a get from Dinat Hayam. So they both have to say or not? So Amalei told them, they don't have to. One second. He says, you know why they don't have to say anything? They have a migu. You know what a migu is?
Yeah, I already told you that, so don't think that
They could have said that. Right? Which means if these two witnesses would have come to Bedin and would have said that she's a divorced woman, would they have been believed? Yes. Yes. Two witnesses come to Bedin. This woman's a divorced woman. Yeah. We saw her get divorced in Honolulu. Yeah. Is she going to be believed? Yes. Yeah. They're going to be believed. Yes. So therefore, why now would you not believe them if right now they're going to have to say all they don't have to say they don't even have to give over the get. All they have to say is she's believed. That's all that it is, right? So he comes and he says Elmaleh, right? They don't have to. During that time, all of a sudden comes, right? A Parsi. Yeah, you know what a Parsi is, yeah? Persian. A Parsi comes. When he took away the candle. Yeah, Ammar, he said, Rahmana, which is Hashem, O betulach, yeah, O betula devar esav. He says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'vakasha, either put us in your tzel, in your shade, right, which means protect us from these parsaim reshaim, or if not, put us in the tzel of Bnei Esav. The children of Esav, they actually come and they are mechabed otanu. Okay? That means basically, right, for him it was better, right, to go to Galut by Edom, which are Bnei Esav, than to be under the hands of the Persians. Okay? Okay? Fine. We continue as Hashem tomorrow.